Well, we got a few updates today on the Sixers players. One still remaining, well, maybe two, but two for sure as we hang out with you on this Thursday, live from the Xfinity Lounge. It's the PHLY Sixers podcast presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365. With Derek, Kyle, I'm Devon Bree, the president of basketball operations. And all of you, of course, we appreciate it. We got a lot to discuss with you people on this Thursday.
Who you calling you people?
Well, you know, it's like Festivus. I got a lot of problems with you people. There you go. So we're going to talk about all of that. Gene says Jared McCain, G League MVP. Before we get started, hit the like button, everybody. We really appreciate it. As always, hit that like button. Get those numbers up as you start to jump on in there. And anybody who's just getting in there, make sure you let them know in the chat, everybody, to hit that like button. We appreciate it. We'll talk about an update on Paul George and Joel Embiid a little bit later. We will talk about
classic non-update update.
Exactly. Dominick Barlow, of course. But we have to begin with the, as Gene says, Jared McCain, G League MVP. Kyle, at practice today, Nick Nurse, the head coach of the Sixers, says that Jared McCain is being sent to the G League to play for the Delaware Blue Coats. 2 games today and Saturday. The Sixers will be in Detroit for a game tomorrow night, Friday night. So he will not travel with the team, instead on assignment right now with the Delaware Blue Coats. So before we get to your thoughts and Derek's, let's hear from head coach Nick Nurse and what Nick Nurse had to say about McCain, and a little bit later, Dominick Barlow.
Is it fair to sort of view Jared going down to Delaware as like a baseball player doing a AAA assignment, that type of situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that really similar to what I've been saying. I just really want him to get some trips up and down the court, right? And I think this is a good little window for him. A couple home games for them. And then he'll be right back in the swing of things. And we're keeping him right here and making sure he's up to date with everything, all that stuff. So just to get him up and down and get some conditioning and get him. I mean, it's again 3 really short stints in the last 11 months, and maybe a chance to give him a couple of chances to have some longer stints. Yeah.
So you're hoping he plays both tonight and on Saturday? I believe they have a game.
I am, as of now, but again, I should probably not get too far ahead of myself, but that is the plan right now, yeah.
This is what the G League is for times like this, not just the second round picks that come in. Hunter Salas, Janai Broom can't necessarily get any run, and we've seen it in the past with some of the others, Paul Reed, et cetera. But even for something like this, Kyle, this is big, as Gina asked. Kind of like a G League assignment? Yes, it is as a G League assignment to get some stuff worked out before you check back in with the big club.
I've been calling for this all week, basically. Wrote about it in the recap after the Celtics game. We've talked about it on the show. The big thing for Jared right now is reps. It's time. It's building your game conditioning. And after getting, I think it was around 15, 16 minutes in his debut performance this season, the minutes have gone down. He's played less time, and he hasn't looked comfortable out there. We can be honest about it. It's not condemning Jared to a bad career or a bad season, even a bad month of basketball. But I think you could clearly tell when he was out there that he has not played competitive professional basketball in close to a year. And so the decision was either you can keep him with the team, and maybe he's able to break through in these little shifts that he's being given right now. But the risk is if he doesn't, then he's not building back the conditioning that he needs to play 20 minutes and 25 minutes and however much you eventually want him to play with the big club. Or you rip the Band-Aid off. You say, hey, we'll get you as many minutes as we can possibly find for you right now in Delaware. There are 2 games in 3 days, so doesn't have to play a back-to-back, but he's getting ramped up, as they say. Throw $1 in the jar for that. He's getting ramped up, playing at the lower level. They'll get to play through him, right? He's going to be the most important player on that G League team, so he'll get on-ball reps, he'll get off-ball reps. They'll be able to do whatever they want to do with Jared McCain, and then the hope would be team returns from Detroit. They practice on Sunday. You reacclimate him with his teammates on the big club, and then potentially he plays on Monday against the Clippers. It should be a short shift down there, short trip to Delaware, and spend a couple of days there and you're done. I'm happy that they're doing it because I think the conditioning and the reps are very important right now. And without that, you run the risk of we could let a month go by where he's not really playing or getting any kind of important time, and the season just starts to spiral for him. So I think it's a good move by the Sixers.
Yeah, I think it's a borderline no-brainer because when I watch him play basketball right now, and like you mentioned, he came out 15 minutes first game and has been cut back from there. And when I watch him in these 6, 7, 8 minutes, whatever he's getting each night, I can't, from a basketball perspective, make the honest case of he should get more time. If he gets more time, it's just, well, you want him to get more time because you need him to get back into shape, get back in the flow of things. But from a basketball perspective, he's just not contributing right now. He doesn't look like he's ready to play NBA basketball. Well, luckily, the NBA has a league for this where you can send people down to get time and get back up to playing speed.
That graphic is so ugly, by the way, the 0 field goal percentage.
It's not great. It's not great. But they have a league for this where you can go down there, play basketball that you're not really worried about the outcome for, and get guys up to speed. So I think this is a perfect use of the G League. I think he needs to get down there because the thing holding him back, well, besides the brace, when the brace isn't going anywhere for at least a month, he's gonna have to learn to live with that. But besides that, he just doesn't look like he is ready from a game speed perspective, from a conditioning perspective, just from a reacting to what's going on in the court. He looks like a guy who hasn't played basketball in 11 months. Let him play some basketball and see how quickly he can turn that around.
We've talked a lot about the first game, 15 minutes that he played against Chicago, where we said, no big deal. He missed the shots. He didn't look right. He hadn't played in so long. He got that extended run, and fine. We'll see him in the next contest and see how things play out. And he didn't play against Cleveland because it was the second night of a back-to-back. But when we did see him later in the week, as you guys talked about, it just didn't look like Jared McCain, and rightfully so after being off for such a long time and having to get used to everything all over again. Now, mind you, while he has played in open runs and he has done those types of things, he has played in that environment that they had set up for him to do certain things and still succeed in those. It's a lot different when you go out there and you play against an opponent they're not worried about what you have on your knee and what you haven't done in 11 months. They're trying to take the ball away from you and make sure you don't score and do all that stuff. So this is good. Again, this is what it's for outside of the other piece of developing players there. It's also there for you to utilize this for a player like Jared McCain coming from this injury that does not have the confidence right now. You don't want him getting too deep in the woods where he does play in 10 NBA games. It's not working out. And as Kyle, you pointed out, the minutes just keep chipping away, and they get lower. Next thing you know, Nick Nurse is not putting him in the game, and that's going to affect his confidence right there. So when you do call his number, he may not have the same confidence that he had a little bit early on where he thought he was breaking through again and getting out there thinking he could do those things instinctively, and it's just not happening. So I love the idea. Yes, you brought it up, and I'm glad that they're doing this. And he gets an opportunity to go down there and cook, man. Don't think about it. Just go play basketball, cook these guys. You already know what the system is. And right now, when you go to the G League, the system is you get the ball.
You are the system.
Exactly. You get the ball. Everybody else, see you the games after Thursday and Saturday. You get the rock. Go do what you do and regain that confidence.
Yeah. The ball will flow through him. The offense will flow through him. He will see shots go down there because, with all due respect to the guys who are battling in the G League, defensive play-to-play consistency, not necessarily there for a multitude of reasons. Yeah, consistently bad. Yeah. So he should see some shots go down. Again, he gets to play 2 games in the span of 3 days, which I think that's part of why they decided to do this is you play, you're off, you play, and you get back into that regular cadence of playing again, which I think is important for him. I think for the confidence part, Devon, I have to imagine when Eric Gordon checked into a game before Jared McCain recently, that couldn't have felt very good because he would never say this publicly, But Jared McCain watched Eric Gordon play basketball for the Sixers last year and has an understanding of where Eric Gordon is in the pecking order. When Nick Nurse, even if it is second night of a back-to-back, is calling Eric Gordon's number before yours to essentially play the exact same role he's asking you to, that was probably a bit of a wake-up call for Jared. That's not about conditioning. That's not about necessarily coming back from injury. That was a coach saying, I'm trying to win this game, and I'm playing guys that I feel like are ready to play right now. It says not a whole lot about how they view McCain over the long term or how Nick Nurse feels about Jared McCain over the long term. He has obviously had a lot of tolerance for guys who have struggled and keeping them in or around the rotation. Justin Edwards is a great example where he had a horrible summer, horrible preseason, and Nurse was still in his ear. Like, your time will come. And he believed in him because Justin puts in the work. Justin gets in the extra shots. We know that Jared is a hard worker. We know that Jared puts in all the time he needs to get the body right, the mind right, the shot right, all of that good stuff. You can't accelerate past what he needs to do right now. That's get his legs under him, find the shooting touch again, and then everything kind of flows out of there.
And it wasn't after a bad Jared McCain stint. This was, no, he's going in. Hey, Eric, get in there. And he looked right past Jared to get him in there. So I agree with you. What else was said about, outside of what we saw there? Did any of the players have anything to say about
Jared?
No?
Not particularly. Was there? Am I forgetting one?
No, I think we talked to Justin and Andre, and Justin, a lot of the conversation was
about
focused around his mom after their viral moment together the other night, but also the fact that he's now back in the rotation is a big thing. And with Andre, it went down kind of a funny path today where he pushed back on being labeled a veteran, despite the fact that
if that 14 years you're not a veteran, then
14
what
years
qualifies?
And he said, the thing for him is he has the older guys, so Kyle Lowry and Paul George, guys who have been in the league longer and are the elder statesmen, so to speak. And he's existed in this middle ground, but Andre Drummond, I hate to break it to you. You are a veteran.
Yes.
And that's like, congratulations to you. You've been in the league a damn long time. You've carved out a nice career, made tons of money, yada, yada, yada. But I hate to tell you, you're in your 30s and you've been in the league for forever. That's just how it goes, my guy. So no, not a lot of thoughts from the players, but I think they all understand it. I think these guys have all been through their own injury, rehab, and recovery periods. And certainly the guys who played with Jared last year have seen what he can do when he's at his best. So they're all pulling for him for sure.
Well, the whole Andre thing was also funny because his presser started off with, they were basically asking like whether Justin has any, like the newer kids have any like words that the older guys don't understand. He's like, hey, Justin, what's that word you keep calling me? He's like, unk. And it's like, if the kids are calling you unk, you're a veteran. I hate to say it.
What was the word he said? It was muddy, I think, which is a New York thing, allegedly. That's what Justin calls Andre.
Yeah.
Calls him muddy.
Yeah.
Going back to the whole Jared thing, though, my only complaint, I think they should have done this pretty much right from the jump. Take those 3 games, have him down there in the G League. Maybe he's closer to being ready now. I just don't think what they did over this short stretch that he's been back was productive. But I get, like, maybe you don't want to send the G League as a first step, but I think it probably would have had him in a better spot if they did.
Yeah, I agree. If that was, and look, the guards were already playing well. So you had VJ Edgecombe playing well, Quentin Grimes is playing well coming off the bench, and Tyrese Maxey, of course. You were going to have to break him in like we talked about. Where does he fit in? Go get him some work first. And, of course, this is after the fact, and we see the struggle happening. But, yeah, that wouldn't have been a bad idea to do that up front and to give him an opportunity to get some work there with them. But I guess they figured because he did get to work with them, the coaching staff, the player development group as well, that was enough, and they had seen enough. Because if they did, Derek, I'm thinking that he looked all right in that setting. It's just when he got out there, it just didn't come together the way that they thought.
He even said, he's like, look, I felt like I felt okay when we were practicing. It's like, but when people are trying to take the ball from you every time you put it on the floor, it's a little bit different.
Yeah. And then, look, I did bring the brace in everybody that I talked about. Because Kyle, you mentioned it, and Derek, you talked about it's going to be on there for another month. or so.
At least.
Until he gets
we know that it'll be
reevaluated.
there for a month, and then we'll see what the doctors say after
And remember, I said that now mine was ACL. You also understand this too, but I had 2 braces before I could even get to a different type of brace that was still one that was a little uncomfortable because they still had straps on it. And while the exposure kneecap is still a little more uncomfortable, but it's way better than the other ones that they give you from the start. And I know you said your dad went through some stuff with the meniscus and all. So look, everybody, I still have my Rothman bag. So,
Perfect. The branding too.
Still have my Rothman bag, and I have my 2 braces that we have. This is the second one, and that's still
DonJoy, baby. They're still the gold standard, of knee braces as far as I know.
And the first one, so this one was the one that was really, really uncomfortable.
Okay.
This is the metal one. You can hear how, exactly. You hear all of that. And this is after I was able to break the bottom off.
Which I can't imagine the doctors were recommending that you break the bottom off of your brace.
Not until they tell you to.
Okay.
Yeah. So after the fact, you have to bend the bottom pieces off. And the only reason I have the sports tape on there is because you still are breaking metal, and it's a little uncomfortable. You don't want to cut yourself there. But I don't know. When I did see Jared's, it looks like it wasn't full leg, but it was still from the quad all the way down underneath the kneecap, which is really uncomfortable. And it's a heavy brace. This is heavy. And then the second one, it's not that much better. It's still a very, very uncomfortable big brace that you have to put on, and you can see that even if that's the second,
it's got some good heft to it.
Yeah,
and that's the good one.
That's the good one. And so that's what I mean by having to. I don't know if you had this one.
I actually didn't have a brace at all.
Okay, that's right. You did tell me that. So that's a heavy thing to adjust to and try to run and cut. And you see how stiff you can't move. You are locked in there, man. And that's what they want. And of course, it's just it's a lot of work to try to get through the mental hurdle of doing this. To your point, Kyle, when I had this one on first, and this is full length. Now, obviously, I wasn't playing basketball in this one.
Yeah.
This is the one that they gave me to start playing in. But I do know that there are some. Rudy Gobert wears one all the time that he has one all the time on his knees. The football players, they do it as well.
I was going to say the linemen, even if they haven't been
all
injured, have gotten to the point where just as a precautionary move, because they got a brace like that constantly.
Yep.
I get it, because those guys are moving some big boys down in the trenches.
It's tough. And then as I was saying the other day, it slides. It just continues to slide. You have to pull it back up your knee and try to get used to it. It gets so frustrating, as you would imagine, that you just want to take it off your knee, and you can't. And that's why I think I feel for him in that way, having to do it only in the pickup setting or just regular everyday stuff that you do. And it gets a little annoying, and it can get to you. Jared, though, is a positive guy, so I know he will get through all of this. But just to give everybody, you know how you go to school and when you're a kid, show and tell, bring your stuff in. What's your favorite thing you want to show and tell? Well,
Devon's collection of medical devices.
Yeah, I still kept all my stuff from Rothman because it was very helpful.
I do feel like with the way our ad reads are blocked, this should have been like a second block segment. That's maybe we could have had like the bottom third in there the entire time.
And I'll still, hey, everybody, Rothman.
This segment was brought to you by
Rothman.
Rothman.
Use that thing as a weapon, honestly. Beat somebody over the head with that.
So imagine
assault with a deadly weapon.
Imagine that one. So everybody, we'll take our first break of the day. Ray Philly Fly says, shout out Rothman. That's right, Ray. That's why I love talking about them. They got me back. And the Sixers staff, the medical staff is great. I'm sure they'll get Jared back to being Jared McCain that we're accustomed to seeing. When we come back, we'll talk about the update on Dominick Barlow from today's practice as well. Little Joel Embiid, Paul George a bit later. All right here on this Thursday. It's the PHLY Sixers podcast. All right, and I got to tell you, everybody, about our good people from, you got some football tonight, everybody. If you want to get in there, little Bet365 action, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Make sure you download the app, become one of the 90 million users worldwide, and you too can place those wagers like we do. So here's what's happening tonight with Thursday Night Football. You get the $10 safety net bet. So if you place a bet, from anywhere where it starts, I believe, at 10 cents if you wanted to place a wager on that, all the way up to $10.
That's about as much money as I'm willing to place on the New York Jets.
There you go. Yeah, the game is not great, but yeah, if you want to bet against the Jets, maybe this is the one for you. That said, Bet365 is the place for you to go. Once again, take advantage of the $10 safety net bet, and you have yourself in play right there. It's also Thursday night touchdown. And when you use this, you see for yourself, Thursday night touchdown offer. Place any qualifying parlay bets totaling $20 or more on tonight's game and get bonus bets for every touchdown after they do, in fact, score. So if you're a new customer and you're looking to sign up and you're saying, you know what? I believe in that whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Let me jump in here. New customers, $300 in bonus bets. When you bet $5 win or lose, sign up, use code PHLY365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5, and you get $300 in bonus bets, win or lose. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And guys, mentioned it in the past, we need you to be better than Rich Hoffman. Great analyst, horrible setup. Because you go to his house, it's lagging, it's buffering. You can't even watch the game that you wanted to
For
see.
shame, Rich.
Because if you call yourself a basketball fan, you have to have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination where you can find the best games and your favorite teams all in one place. The way that you watch is next level. Got all the action right in your living room, plus with Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K, it's so clear that it feels like you're in the arena. On top of that, you get real-time notifications and live stats right on your TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply, and multi-view requires Xfinity 4K-capable TV box.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast here on this Thursday. And now we have to get to the big deal of the day. Another injury update. The big deal presented by Kia of Cherry Hill. I know people buy Kias elsewhere, Kyle.
I just don't know why, Devon.
Drive home in your new Kia today. All right, let's get to the other update, Derek. Dominick Barlow. He's back.
He's back.
The
That's
wound,
the whole update.
The wound
That was
is,
the extent to which we have an update. He's back.
the wound is healed. He is back. What did Nick Nurse have to say about Dominick Barlow?
I mean, it really was. He
That
said
was
pretty much
literally
said,
all he
"He's
said."
back."
He's back. End of segment.
He's back. He's good to go. Like, he might have added like one or two words after that, but there wasn't a whole lot. And look, I think a lot of people are like the machete jokes are funny, right? They're funny. We're all laughing at them. But I think there's a lot of people who are confused why it took so long. It's because of the location of the cut of the
Do
laceration.
we know where it like?
Did I get like a diagram of his elbow? I didn't get an exact.
Did somebody
location.
at least say where it was?
I mean, it's right at the
Along
joint.
the
It's right at the
elbow
joint.
is-
Right
yeah,
at the-
Yeah.
okay.
on the joint.
And because of that, like every time he moved, it would reopen it. So they put him in that big cast, pretty much to prevent him from moving and to prevent him from reopening it. So, you know, it's hopefully good to go from here on out. Doesn't get reopened. It was just in a really, I don't think the gash was like monster, like huge. It was just in a really bad spot.
Congratulations to Dominick Barlow on his arm replacement surgery. I'm just joking, everyone, in case you take that seriously for some unknown reason. This is a big boost for them.
It is.
It's crazy to say this for a two-way guy who in the offseason, I think we had pretty low expectations for him. Like, yeah, we'll see what he offers in the preseason, but not expecting a whole lot. To go to opening night starter and someone who was able to sustain a pretty high level of play all through the preseason and in those first 1.5 games before he goes out of the lineup. I think the trick now is, where does he end up in this rotation? Obviously, Paul George is not back yet, so that probably makes it a little bit easier to make sure him and Watford get their time. But Jabari Walker is someone that Nurse has gone to quite often recently as a source of some rebounding and size off of the bench. Presumably, those two are back in a competition now. Jabari has played fairly well lately. I guess what I'm really interested in is, how does Nurse weigh what we saw in preseason and early season for Barlow against the flashes from Watford and I think like the bigger commitment to Watford? Because again, I know that Trendon had the huge triple-double with 17 rebounds and yada, yada, yada. But on paper, Barlow's skill set is more of a need-filling skill set. in terms of the rebounding, the defensive versatility in the front court, where Watford is more of a creative outlet that they haven't necessarily needed. It is a nice thing to have. It is an additional option guy they can turn to, and I think he's had some very good games so far. But I'm really curious how that battle shakes out, because Nurse was early to play Watford, was early to praise Watford in training, or Watford,
Barlow.
early to praise Barlow in training camp. So I think that's one to watch, not just now, but then certainly when Paul George eventually comes back in 2027 or whenever it's going to be after all these final steps that he's in the process
He's
of
been on
taking.
the biggest ramp I've ever seen in my life.
Tony Hawk size ramp.
Because he hasn't played, I'd imagine he doesn't get the starting nod right away, just because he has to get his conditioning back up and all that stuff that goes along with it. But here's my question, because with the skill set, Kyle, that you talked about and what he brings to the game and what we saw in the preseason and the 2 regular season games, he can start next to anyone. But because we are in season, and let's say Joel Embiid, which we'll talk about later, let's say he doesn't play against Detroit. Does Watford's skill set next to Andre Drummond make more sense than Barlow, 2 non-offensive front court players, when you have Oubre, Edgecombe, and Maxey? Does it make sense there, just for at least this opponent, this game, first game back, where you look at it that way? As to if Embiid is there, you know what, Barlow, again, everything that you do fits with whomever you're out there on the floor with. Put him right back out there with Joel Embiid to help Embiid on the glass, where maybe Drummond does need it, but he doesn't need it as much as Joel.
Yeah, I think it's a good point, because, and we've talked about it, Joel's mobility also not what it was a couple of years ago. And so a more rangy, athletic, rebounding type like Barlow is very useful next to him. And we've seen that work in very small stretches so far, obviously, right? Because Joel and Barlow have spent minimal time on a real floor together. You also have to think about, how are you going to structure the bench? So like if Joel plays, I do think like, hey, bringing Watford in as another creative guy, so that if you're pulling Joel, if you're pulling Maxey, you can still have VJ and Grimes and Watford. And then the two other guys in that mix, they can be more dirty work type of players, or it's Drummond and whoever the 5th guy is. Maybe it's Justin Edwards for shooting. Maybe it's eventually it could be Jared McCain if you want to go small. Like, there are lots of directions you could go with it. I think Barlow is going to play is probably the headline here. I don't have any real doubt that he's going to jump right back into the rotation, given what he showed early on and how consistent he was throughout camp and the preseason. It's just a matter of, is it 15 minutes? Is it 20 minutes? And how do they shake that out? The other subplot that I think comes off of that, will Nurse play small less, right? Because right now, without McCain, with McCain in the group where you have 4 guards, you kind of had to play 3 guard lineups at all times to make sure those guys could all get on the floor. And Nurse has loved these 3 guard lineups without Jared McCain. But if you want to try to pick away at the 38 minutes that Maxey and Edgecombe are playing, part of the way you get there is you say, we're only going to play 2 guards, and we will play a wing, and we will play one of Barlow, Watford, or Walker at all times at that 4 spot. And that's how you chip away at that problem as well. So I'm curious to see if Nick Nurse goes that direction.
It is weird because on the one hand, we've spent all of Joel Embiid's career pretty much saying, like, you can't put a non-shooter next to him. But on the other hand, you've got Joel Embiid, who's not the rebounder he used to be, doesn't cover ground like he used to be, so you want that mobility there. And if you're going to pick one of those two, either Embiid or Drummond, to put a non-shooter next to, you almost say, all right, put him next to Embiid, because at this point, Embiid's mostly around a 3-point line, trying to level people with screens, create space for his guards. He's playing more of that role than he is posting up like he was earlier in his career. You can almost accommodate a non-shooter next to him easier than you could Drummond, because Drummond is, despite the 3-point resurgence and the corner 3 Drummond, still much less of a floor spacer. Obviously you would want shooting at all spots, and in a starting lineup, it could get tricky when you have, Kelly, who's come crashing back down from the 3-point line over the last 3 games, VJ, who's come back down to earth, from 3-point line over the last 3 games, and you throw in Barlow, that might be tough. But just as a big man centric, you might be able to, Barlow might have the strengths to play next to Embiid that you need. And, Embiid might have the strengths to help overcome some of his weaknesses, but there's the other 3 players on the court. So it will be interesting to see how they use them, because all 3 of those that we've been talking about have very unique strengths and weaknesses, and none of them are even close to a complete player. So who they're paired with is very important.
And if Jalen Duren does play, which they did not play last night, Paul Reed went nuts with the 28-point double-double that he had out there in their win. That's a big front court. If Isaiah Stewart comes back, even if Isaiah Stewart doesn't come back, Paul Reed is playing well for the Detroit Pistons, and they're going to need that. They're going to need that extra body, that extra work that Dominick Barlow provides that they did not have in that last game that they played him. Now, look, it was a close game. It was an entertaining game. It was a fun game that they played, but they do certainly miss Dominick Barlow and that big front court of Detroit. They are playing, what did they won, 7 in a row? Those guys get after it, and you need a player like Dominick Barlow. So, also, the good part about this big deal is, Kyle, this is the first player since Allen Iverson that actually needs a shooting sleeve on his elbow because of the gash.
I don't know if we want to call it a shooting sleeve, given the jump shot form that Dominic showed in limited minutes.
He needs something there to help him out on that injured elbow that Ramid says, I guess he got that gash from Wolverine having him out for so long.
There were a lot of comments to that effect over the, but again, the explanation that we got was that it was just a very
bad
tricky spot for it to happen on. You guys saw pictures that Derek and I posted from practice where he's in a sling and I don't want to call it a cast. I think it was referred to as a cast, but I think when most people hear that, it's like the hard. Yeah. It was heavily bandaged and wrapped up, and they're trying as hard as they could to make sure he couldn't move, which that's not great.
I get it. Yeah.
But we understand it. And I cannot wait to actually talk to Dominic about this, because it just seems so strange. I've never heard of a laceration this bad that took this long to heal, but we're all very glad that he's back in the mix now. And so hopefully for his sake and the team's sake, he's able to hit the ground running after the start he was off to.
Theo in the chat calling him Bucky Barlow.
Bucky Barlow. That's great.
But remember, too, in that first game in Boston, he had 5 assists. And I'm not saying point forward Barlow is not a thing, but I think the important thing that we saw from him is that he could be part of that cohesive offense as a handoff guy with VJ Edgecombe or Tyrese Maxey.
Offensive rebound kickouts.
Yes. Having the head up after he creates an extra possession. Just playing smart and intentional basketball. He's been very good at that so far. So we'll wait and see. But fingers crossed that he's right back in the groove after a very weird injury and layoff.
Honestly, like, we've had a lot of weird injuries. This was one of the weirder ones.
At least he can come back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, at least he can come back. Big news and the big deal. Big deal presented by Kia of Cherry Hill. I know people buy Kias elsewhere, Kyle.
I just have no idea why, Devon.
Drive home in your new Kia today, just minutes from all bridges, or available online 24/7 at kiaofcherryhill.com. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about a little bit more of the squad, getting ready for Detroit as well. The guys will be here tomorrow for the pregame since it's a road game. So typically at the end of the show, when there's a game the next day, if it's a home game, I ask them their thoughts. Now we get to save it for tomorrow for the pregame that will begin at 6:30, I think. I think they play at 7 tomorrow.
I'm not sure. I should probably look that up.
I'll check while you're talking about our wonderful friends during this break.
Checked. But we'll be back talking more about that. Little Joel Embiid, Paul George update as well. See if we got something. It is later in the week.
No, it's later. It's a 7:30 game because it's the NBA Cup, Devon.
Oh, man.
Do it for the Cup.
Do it for the Cup. 7 o'clock pregame. We'll get the guys' thoughts on that game tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Today, we'll talk about Joel Embiid, Paul George. Will they be available for tomorrow against the Pistons? Next, right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. And yes, right back at it with Kia of Cherry Hill. Yes, folks, the good people, if you're looking for the dealership with the most inventory and low lease payments in the Philadelphia area, KiaofCherryHill.com is the place to go. Choose from over 450 new Kias, including Tellurides, Sportages, K5s, Carnival, Celto Souls, and much more. I got to tell you, Kia is the hottest automotive brand in the country for a reason. A friend of mine has a Telluride, and I was like, hey, I didn't know this was this nice. Yeah, it is really nice. 7 of their models received 2025 Car and Driver Editor's Choice Awards. That's amazing considering there were more than 450 models tested and only 20 models industry-wide receiving this award. So you combine that with the best warranty in the automotive business, 10 years, 100,000 miles powertrain, 5 years, 60,000 mile bumper to bumper. There's no other place to go. Stop in today. Tell them PHLY sent you. Receive up to $3,000 over the Kelly Blue Book value on any trade-ins following a trade appraisal. Again, Kyle, I know people buy Kias elsewhere.
I don't know why.
Drive home in your new Kia today, just minutes from all bridges, or available 24/7 online at KiaofCherryHill.com. And yes, I got to continue, folks. Rothman Orthopedics. Yes, we had show and tell today on the show talking about Jared McCain playing for the Delaware Blue Coats over the next 2 games for them. Well, I had to show and tell and show all my cool braces, all the stuff that I still have left over that Jared McCain is having to deal with right now. But I am able to, if I choose to, play basketball again because of Rothman Orthopedics, them getting me right, getting me back on track to be able to play basketball again. Even though I had to wear these uncomfortable braces, it wasn't their fault. They were helping me get back. So if it's something as serious as this or something simple, joint pain, muscle pain, keeping you from doing the things that you enjoy on a daily basis, whether it's walking the dog, working out, or just simply moving comfortably throughout the day, it's time to get that care and get that taken care of, the care you deserve with Rothman Orthopedics. You'll find the expert treatment for injuries and chronic conditions alike with personalized care focused on helping you move better sooner. Visit RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY to schedule your appointment. Rothman Orthopedics, my mobility, your mobility, their mission. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast. Kyle, anything on Joel and Paul George as we get ready for
So PG is just straight up out
okay,
for the game in Detroit. So we are still awaiting the next update on him. We are also awaiting an update on Joel Embiid. They did not, however, rule Joel out for Friday's game. They said to be determined. Whether that means he's in or out, I don't know. I am expecting some form of update before the injury report comes out tonight at around 5:30-ish. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Joel. I think the fact that they're at least leaving the door open for the next few hours is a positive sign, but I'm not going to overread into it because I have learned covering the Sixers and covering Joel Embiid that the word final doesn't mean final, that day to day can turn into weeks. And so I'm going to scale back and just say we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, Joel playing or not would be a huge swing factor in this game against Detroit because you brought up Jalen Duren, incredible player, incredible talent, awesome start to the year. But if he's not able to, if he doesn't play for whatever reason, I would expect that he will, and it's Joel Embiid against Paul Reed, I would feel pretty good about Joel's chances in that matchup, given the size mismatch and the history there. I also am in the process of doing some deep dives on, we talked about VJ Edgecombe yesterday and what has gone into his struggles and his slump. And so you're looking at different combinations. You guys would be shocked at how good some of the offensive numbers are when Joel Embiid is involved. When they run handoffs using Joel Embiid, and they run a lot of handoffs on this team, the Sixers are currently scoring almost 1.7 points per possession. So they are scoring close to every single time they have Joel Embiid in a dribble handoff. Now, that obviously is, some of that is Tyrese Maxey shooting the heck out of the ball. Some of that's Joel scoring himself. But he's making life a lot easier for everyone on offense. So as much as it looks clunky at times, as big of a disaster as we talked about the Bulls game being, the big fella still brings a lot to the table. And having him available tomorrow would be a big lift against a team that is currently number 1 seed in the entire Eastern Conference.
7 in a row.
Yeah. No, and that Bulls game was really the only time this year it really felt like it was, a bad version of Joel. For the most part, he has been very good on that end. It's why whenever people complain like, oh, it's more aesthetically pleasing or whatever when Joel's out of the game. Okay, but he's still really good at basketball and makes everybody's life significantly easier. And I think he's doing a pretty admirable job of trying to find a way to remain effective and remain aggressive without dominating the ball like he previously did. For the most part, I think he has played a very good brand of basketball, offensive basketball, and an aesthetically pleasing brand of basketball as well. And this is a game where, A, he'd be really important for the matchup, and B, it's the last time for a little while where they have 2 games off after the game. So This is a game where you would love to see him play. I do think there was cautious optimism, maybe, is the way I would phrase it after the game, just because they didn't find any structural problems after the scans. So hopefully he's able to get it back out there pretty quickly because I do think this is a game where they could really use him.
I agree, especially with the big week coming up. Take advantage of the home stuff, but when you have a chance to go up against the Pistons again, just some of these games for me, as talked about a little bit earlier in the week, of some of these measuring games, it's early, yes, but you also got off to a really good start that maybe a lot didn't expect. So with that, you let Detroit know, you let Cleveland know, and especially like that game against Chicago. Yes, Chicago came back, but I think the Sixers would feel pretty good when they match up against them again for their next game. This is, again, man, I mean, this is a team that is right at the top right now at 10-2. They sit atop the Eastern Conference. They're feeling really good about themselves. And if you see them in the postseason, you do want to kind of let them know, let me send this little message to these guys that, yes, you are good, but we are also good, and this is not going to be sweet while we're out here. So I would love to see Joel play after not playing in the last game that they won against Boston. I would love to see Joel Embiid get out there against this Pistons team on the road, go after it, have the weekend off, and get right back on the floor on Monday when they return home. I hope he plays.
Yeah, I mean, I want him to play every game because he's one of their best players, and he makes a huge difference, potentially anyway, on both ends of the floor. It also allows all these guys to establish a rhythm that I know that we've been very happy with having an identity that exists outside of Joel. That has been a great thing to start this season. They play through VJ and Tyrese. They have some built-in chemistry between Maxey and Watford. Like, there are a lot of things emerging early in the year that don't involve Joel Embiid that we're very excited about. But if you can get him out there, we saw against Toronto, I think that Toronto performance was really, really good against that team where Joel scores an easy 29. Tyrese scores 31, 6 double-figure scores. When they got the defense together, they put together some stretches of defense that look really good. That, frankly, to me right now, the storyline of this week is how good the defense has been the last 2 games, that they've seen a genuine uptick there. I think particularly in the Boston game, it was good almost start to finish because we have to obviously make the third quarter caveat. But even against Detroit, I know Detroit emerges with that win, and you weren't perfect on that end of the floor, but you were able to bottle up Cade Cunningham for a long portion of that game without having Joel and having to use Andre Drummond defending in space. You figure out some coverages, you figure out combinations. And Nick Nurse talked about this at practice today. He said one of the things that's happening is that in transition, where they've had a lot of issues, we're not having as many possessions where guys are worried about, oh, this is the matchup I have to get to. And so when you see something like Quentin Grimes flash out to a shooter because it's like, oh, that's my guy, and you don't stop the ball, that's all about having to coach out of him, hey, this is my assignment and I have to worry about him. Right. When you're in transition, worry about stopping the possession, make them play out of a half-court offense. You can scram switch something later. You can get help at the rim. But if you just let teams waltz down on you, there's no undoing the basket that was scored or the open 3 that was on the wing that you conceded. So I like that they're doing all that. I want that to continue with and around Joel Embiid. And the only way that that can happen is if you have him on the floor as much as possible, as soon as possible. So I'm hoping that he is back on the floor tomorrow night and they continue building this thing one step at a time.
Final one for me is that I also, with Dominick Barlow coming back, I want to see those two out there on the floor again together to see how that looks so they can continue to build that chemistry and see how that works, because Dominick Barlow, while he may not be starting for the entire season, he can't because he's on the 2A and he can't play that many games. Paul George is also going to come back and take that starting role. But for right now, until George gets back in 2027, as Kyle pointed out, I want to see Barlow and Embiid out there in the front court together. So there's that. When we come back, we'll talk about a few more things. Like, kind of have a question for the guys and all of you. I'll just throw it out there right now before we say it. And that's just simply, through the 11 games, who has been the most pleasant surprise on this basketball team through the first 11, and maybe the most disappointing as well.
Other than Jared, but
I don't
context
know.
there.
Yeah, context there. So we'll do that when we get back. Final break right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Guys, we all know the feeling. You walk into a jewelry store, you want to pick out something really nice and special for your partner, but you're in over your head. You're thinking, what's the difference between all these diamonds? What if they don't like this? It can be really stressful because you might be spending a good chunk of change to get this really nice gift for your significant other. That's why working with Joe and Michelle at Bucci's Jewelry and Design is such a game changer. They make the whole process seamless. From the minute you walk in, they treat you like family, and they listen. It's a very important skill, listening. One I still haven't picked up all that well. And then their team, after listening, designed something completely custom right there in-house. There's no pressure. There's no pushy sales vibe. It's good people who love what they do. And the end result is that you're going to get something you're proud to give, and they'll never forget once they receive your wonderful gift. So the next time you need that perfect piece, go see Joe and Michelle at Bucci's Jewelry and Design. 30 plus years in the game, voted Philly's #1 jeweler year after year. Over 1,000 5-star reviews, speaks for itself. Check them out today at BucciJewelers.com and tell them the guys at PHLY sent you.
And Parks Casino is a great place to go hang out and see some great acts. The Excite Center is where you need to be at Parks Casino. One of the many things I love about my casino of choice, and Parks Casino is Pennsylvania's #1 casino. Is close to Philadelphia, located in Bensalem. Take the street road exit off of I-95 and the PA Turnpike. We've been telling you about Bill Murray and the Blood Brothers. Well, his Blood Brothers is what the band is called. And they are here Saturday, November 15th. If it's not sold out, if you haven't gotten your tickets and you want to see Bill Murray, have at it. Go check it out. That's, again, at parkscasino.com. You can check out the calendar. Also, when I was scrolling through to see some of the acts that are going to be there, my Knicks brother, Tracy Morgan, in town.
Funny guy, man.
Funny guy. You get to see him in
Funny
March.
guy, horrible sports teams.
March 2026. Tracy Morgan at Parks Casino and the Excite Center. So how do you get there? How do you hang out? Well, you visit parkscasino.com to buy tickets for all those shows. Check out the list of the acts that are going to be there over the next few months, where you get to have some downtime and go hang out and see a great show. So while you do that, make sure you go play some pop culture slots, roulette cards, and other table games you love while you wait. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You must be 21 and over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. All right, Derek, throwing this one at you to start. Pleasant surprise and maybe a little disappointing through the first 11.
I mean, I want to go in a couple different directions, but I'll only pick one because there's 3 people on the panel. I'm just going to say Tyrese Maxey. And it's boring saying the best player is the biggest surprise, but like the jump he has made is hugely important both for this year and for the future of the team. Like it brings team building into focus if what he is doing here over the first 11 games is what he is capable of going forward. And we've talked time and time again about how putting real talent around him is, we will have a better chance to evaluate his true upside and his ability to lead an offense with more talent around him. And so far, he has proven that to be true. So I think he is sort of the easy answer for best surprise. Disappointment, I mean, for me, it's a Dembona, and it's not even close. I'm not going to include Jared because he's come back from an injury. Bona, I had high hopes that they had finally maybe solved that backup center conundrum. I do not have those hopes anymore. And he can still prove me right. Like he can still prove himself.
Time, yeah.
But after 11 games, that would certainly be my answer.
Well, so I'll go to the other side of that. I think the pleasant surprise has been Andre Drummond. I think he has been a lot closer to the guy I think they thought they were getting when they brought him back in free agency. I think the thing that has really jumped out at me, and Andre is not a perfect player. He's got for the greatest rebounder of all time, so according to him, there are a lot of possessions where it looks like he's got a defensive rebound and doesn't quite secure it. And I don't want to complain too much about the rebounding. But his defense in space has been so much better than it has been in years past. I think the improvement in conditioning, the focus on his diet and whatnot in the offseason, I can see the dividends of that. I think as much as we joke about the toe yoga and the stuff he talked about on media day, there's a material difference. He was able to make a play showing high and showing Derek White length at the point of attack in that Boston game. That helped win them that game. That he played some pretty good high hedge possessions against Cade Cunningham before Cade Cunningham gets going. That has never really been Andre's strength. He's been a drop big, who plays near the rim and rebounds. So I give him a lot of credit for how he's played. It's one thing for, Adem has been my biggest disappointment as well, Derek, but he might have still continued to play if they got the Andre of last year. I think that would have just been like, hey, we'll deal with the young guy playing through his lumps and whatever. But Andre has played well enough to take that spot. Up until the other day, I would have thrown Justin in the biggest disappointment bucket as well.
That was going to be mine.
But when you score
when you win a game by
points
yourself
and you have a breakout game, and you hear all the, like, hey, he's putting in the work, all that looks like that could just be he breaks out of the slump and has a good season ahead.
And the reason I would go Bona ahead of Justin, not only just because of the 22 points on 9 shots last game, you just expected more from Bona. Bona had a bigger role coming into the season, I think, and certainly there is a clearer pathway to him having a consistent role going forward. I just think you relied on Bona a little bit more because you didn't know what you're going to get with Drummond, whereas with Justin, you at least had other options.
For that matter.
Yeah.
I agree. However, I think I had more faith because of the shooting and because of what Justin Edwards does with the shooting, where he stays within himself. And on the offensive end and the defensive stuff that we at least project him out to be as a two-way type of wing, at least on the Bona piece where we were all expecting because the role is so big for him, I still have issues with his hands. I still have issues with his rebounding that we don't know when that's going to surface and show its true good self. Whereas the Edwards part is everything else that he needs to correct, at least the shooting will be there and the effort will be there. So that's where I was most disappointed for me, just because of that part that didn't show itself again until this game. And then he had another game where he had, I think, 9 points in stretch on the 3-pointers that he made that helped him to stay in the game in the first half the way that he did. But obviously when you have that bust out 22, you're the hero of the game. All that kind of goes out the window. So I really don't have a disappointment outside of those two. The one pleasant surprise for me has been Kelly Oubre.
Kelly would have been my second one, yeah.
Kelly Oubre, 11 games, 18 points, 5 boards. The assist numbers are never going to be there because that's not him. But the defensive effort
He's done everything
there.
else.
He has done all that you can possibly ask for, Kelly Oubre, and he has been just fantastic. So even when he has that bad ending against, who was it, Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is also an all-NBA player. And he takes the all-NBA assignment every night. He's going to get the good, and he's going to get the bad. And Kelly Oubre has been fantastic this season through the 11 games. So I would say for me, he has been my pleasant surprise for what he has been able to do all year long. He's
been excellent.
And the role has been different seemingly every game because Maxey is Maxey. Edgecombe is going off. Joel is back. He's finding his rhythm. Where does Kelly fit in and find his shots? Well, when his outside shot is falling, that makes it easier for him to find his way where he doesn't have to hijack and start dribbling and try to get to the basket. Guess what? I'm feeling good. My 3-point, when I release it, it feels good. So I don't have to go and drive to the basket every time and have these weird things happen in the air where I'm trying to get the shot off and do all that. So Kelly Oubre for me has been a real pleasant surprise to start this season.
Yeah, and I'll add what we have discussed on this show several times already. I think he has played with real restraint in a way that he hasn't in the past. I don't think, sure, there are some times when he's going to take a contested jumper, but none of it feels like it's completely off script or he's going way off on an island somewhere and like, what the hell was he thinking on this one? He's taking rhythm shots. He's taken open shots in transition. And a lot of his drives, his mid-range attempts, his runners are coming when it's like, okay, it's 8 seconds in the shot clock. Ball comes Kelly's way. Someone's got to make something happen. I have plenty of tolerance and patience for those types of possessions. The ones that I used to get driven crazy by are when it's like 20 seconds on the clock and he's taking a ridiculous shot. And I don't think we've seen those shots that often for quite a while. I think he's done a way better job of picking his spots and then doing all the other things, rebounding, taking the best assignment on defense on the other end. Yes, it doesn't always go well, and sometimes Cade Cunningham is going to make you look silly because he's Cade Cunningham. But by and large, for what he's being paid, what he's being asked to do, what his role is within this team, I think we all are pretty thrilled with Kelly. So and the best way to show that is we've all been like, yeah, you can't take him out of the starting lineup. Not until he starts playing materially worse. And he has come down a bit as a shooter lately, but I still think he deserves some time alongside PG, VJ, Maxey, and Joel as that starting five.
Last 3 games, Kelly 3 for 17 from 3, and then VJ is 3 for 12. So there has had that shooting regression, but they found a way to win 2 out of those 3 games. So.
Yep. And look, he made the game-winning putback on that Justin Edwards miss. So the making stuff happening. Yeah. So I think we're all very pleased with Kelly.
Yeah. So I would say that. Yes. Other than Bona and Edwards, there's no real anybody else.
Yeah. It's wait and see on Jared.
Wait and see on Jared. The two-way guys, of course, they're pleasant surprises for what they've done, and then wait on Jared. You knew you were going to get a wall hit from VJ Edgecombe, and Grimes has been a 6-man candidate. And even though he drives you crazy at times, he's still.
It's the nature of that role and position. 100%. So while I get driven crazy 3 times a game by Grimes, he has, by and large, been a very positive player. I would also, by the way, I would throw VJ. He's the number 3 overall pick, and there are high expectations. He came in and had one of the greatest rookie games ever and had this unbelievable opening stretch. I know that he's cooled off, and we're not expecting that all year, but that certainly, even as people who were all high on VJ, I think that was a pleasant surprise as well. On
balance, if you just looked at the back of his baseball card, so to speak, like his averages are better than you would have expected at the start.
Now?
Right around 15. Hold on, I can bring it up.
15, 5, and 4 he's averaging.
41% from the field, 36% from 3.
On opening night, we were talking about his over-under being 11.5 points, and is that going to be – this guy's dropped 34 in his opening night, follows up with a 29 after that.
Yep.
And 26, and he's been doing what he's doing. He's fine.
Yeah, and look, rookies, and especially rookie guards, there's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. It's going to be up, and it's not going to be a straight line throughout the season. That's true for every player, but especially for young players who are just trying to adapt. But if you look, like I said, on paper, what he's done so far, I think has exceeded expectations for sure.
Quick disappointment before we get to the roll call. Paul George is not being back. That's all.
I mean,
and I'll just leave it there.
That's a show unto itself.
Yes, but just the disappointment of it through 11. We figured we would be out for the first 5, 6, whatever. We all thought that he might be back by now.
I was thinking, oh man, he might play opening night.
Luckily,
think of how silly that looks now. I was like, Paul George might start on opening night. Boy, past Kyle, do I have some news for you?
You also said that about Joel before the start of last season.
Yeah, well, I might just start saying nobody's going to play.
Which I'm pretty sure I said the same thing. I just had the intelligence to do that behind the scenes and not on the show.
What's the point of being a coward about your opinions?
Well, the team is 7-4. They have played some exciting brand of basketball. They're still right there in the mix in the Eastern Conference with plenty of basketball left to be played. We'll see Paul George hopefully in 2025 and not 2027 at some point. We're going to overtime, everybody. And that is overtime with Paul George, too, with the waiting for him to get back at allphly.com. Thank you on the television
We're in overtime,
side.
all right.
At 7 p.m. tomorrow, we'll see you for the pregame show on the TV side. Hope you'll join us. If you're able to hang with us and you want to finish the rest of the show and hear your name called potentially, roll call is happening at allphly.com. So let's get to it. It's the world famous.
I do want to say, though.
Roll call.
because we're just making fun of ourselves for Paul George and having optimism before the season. We did also have optimism about Joel Embiid, and he was ready to go. So, we're batting 50-50.
And that was even a big surprise still.
Yeah.
He started right away.
Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us at 3 p.m. on a Thursday. Tomorrow night is the NBA Cup, baby. Hashtag this is why we play. For all the marbles, they're playing tomorrow night, and it's a big matchup because Boston lost their other game in the NBA Cup.
Yes,
so
they did.
That opens the door for the Sixers. I must remind everyone the point differential matters. So
and that was a 1-point loss.
It was. So not just winning, you got to win with some gusto in the NBA Cup. So we will see how the boys do tomorrow night. Thank you, everybody who was here today. Thank you to None Ya Business.
None Your Business.
Thank you to Jeffrey Stewart, Hookah Doncic, Faye, Charles, Wawa Marvel,
What up, Wawa?
Hedva, Kima, SB Cole, Jorge, Ramid, Jess.
What up, Ramid?
Sean Ford, Prophet One, Habib 215.
You are the prophet one.
Win Forever, Vic, Art. You better love somebody.
Love somebody, love somebody, love somebody.
Val,
Love
Ray
you
Philly
all.
Fly, David P, Jay
up,
the
Dave?
Jungle, Ed Wright, Luke P, Maple, Rick Morse. Look at Maxie. This is
Look
one
at
of our
him.
people today.
All
Look at
NBA
Maxie
level
indeed.
right now.
Thank you to Theo. Thank you to Music Lover 31. Thank you to my girl Nona.
Hey, Nona.
Thank you to Mom's grandchildren
Hey,
always
Mom.
stopping through. Thank you to Eugene Ross,
What up, Gene?
the king of the caps lock.
Gene invited me to go shoot around.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
At an undisclosed location? or-
Undisclosed location, and I don't need these braces anymore.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. We love y'all. I'll speak for myself. I love y'all. I think.
I love
Thank you to Same James checking in at the
I love
end.
Same James. What up, Same James?
Thank you, everyone. Even if I didn't say your name, it's just because I didn't go to the Derek Zoolander School for kids who can't read good, so I can't get to everyone in one show. Please, on your way out, hit the thumbs up, get that like button, get the likes up
Like
on
it.
this show.
Like it.
It helps me sleep at night. It makes the fellas feel good. It's a thank you to super producer Bree. It makes a big difference, not just for our show, but this entire network where we're pumping out shows and videos and press conferences and content at all times of the year, all times of the day. And it only takes a thumbs up from you. Also hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. We will be back at 7 p.m. tomorrow, Friday
With
night,
that hand on it, that's a pro move.
for an NBA Cup pregame.
NBA
Sixers,
Cup.
Pistons. It's the Sixers against the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference as it stands right
I think
now.
it's prime, too, tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, well, it's
So
prime,
everybody
all right.
get ready.
It's the cup, baby. So we'll see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Until then, stay safe. Take care of one another. Goodbye.
See ya.